The winning blueprint presents.
Draft Zone.
Welcome. You are in the Draft Zone. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up. And what I'm doing is wrapping up each and every team in the National Football League's draft from this past weekend, all 7 rounds, all of their picks, breaking them down one by one, giving them a grade, not necessarily grading out the player as much as the pick itself. Of course, the player will be involved in that process. However, it's more about the pick, the value, what you're getting from the player that you drafted, and what you should expect from this guy in 2013 and moving forward. And so, of course, we'll use our baseball grading scale, single, double, triple, home run. There will be no strikeouts, as, of course, this is the draft, and you really can't tell what a pick is going to yield. Maybe the pick wasn't the best, but it still does not deserve a strikeout, so there won't be any strikeouts. We'll average up the grade, and we'll come up with an overall aggregate score for what I think this team has done in the draft this season. Today, we're here with the Tennessee Titans. We're going to break them down, talk about each individual player that they drafted, where they drafted them at, and then we're going to give them a grade. And let's look at the board. And if you see the board behind me, I've got my handy-dandy pointer, handy-dandy board behind us. Let's check out the Tennessee Titans big board and look and see what they were able to accomplish in the draft. So you look at the Titans, and we've got the rounds, picks, player, position, school. So we start with the first round pick of the Tennessee Titans at number 10, Chance Warmack, guard out of Alabama. Look, the Titans wanted Chance Warmack all along. I mean, it doesn't get much better for the Tennessee Titans. You look at the 10th overall selection, and I initially thought that this wasn't going to be an option for the Titans. I thought all of the tackles, all of the guards worth having at 10 were going to be off the board. And some things happened. Teams traded into the top 10, got some players, and all of a sudden, one of the guards shake loose. The one that the Titans wanted all along, which was Chance Warmack, was sitting right there for them at 10. This is an absolute home run, a steal, in my estimation, for the Titans. And it's funny because we're talking about a guard going in the top 10, and we're calling it a steal, but it's a great pick. It's great value at 10 for the Titans, a team that wants to get back to running the football with Chris Johnson. And they went out and got Sean Green from the Jets. They want to run the football, do the Tennessee Titans, and a guy like Chance Warmack in the interior of that line, coupled with Andy Levitre and those tackles and Stewart and Rules, are going to help you do exactly that. This is a great value pick at 10. This is a home run right here at number 10 in the draft. First round selection for the Tennessee Titans, Chance Warmack, guard out of Alabama. So right now what I want to do is take a look at the needs portion of the board, and I have all the needs of the Titans. They needed offensive line help. Coming into the offseason, that was one of the needs. They addressed it by getting Levitre. Now you plug in Chance Warmack at the other guard position. This Tennessee Titans line might be one of the best in the league if they can mesh and gel right away. Let's take offensive line off of the needs list. Mark that off. We'll get back to that again a little bit later. So now we look at the second round pick of the Titans. And you go and you select Justin Hunter at the 34th selection. And what you did was you traded with the San Francisco 49ers, who were sitting there with the Chiefs selection early on in the second round, second overall pick in the second round, 34. You traded up to get Justin Hunter. He was sitting there. He's a homegrown product. You got to see him a lot at the University of Tennessee. Wide receiver. Here's a guy that right away can give you production. He's a guy that can stretch the field. So now you look across the field and you've got Kendall Wright. And now you got Justin Hunter on the other side. Keep in mind you still have Kenny Britt, but all indications point to Kenny Britt being out of Tennessee after the season. We'll see what happens. You can never tell these things, but with all the trouble, all the injuries, all the off-the-field transgressions of Kenny Britt, this was a necessary pick here. The Titans don't have a go-to receiver, a guy that has it all. And Justin Hunter has it all. He's got the height. He's got the speed. He can be a dominant football player when he is at his best. He's going to bring a lot of different intangibles to the table. The question is, can he get tougher? Can he get bigger? Can he get stronger? This is a very light kid here in Justin Hunter. We're talking about a 6'4" receiver that's probably under 200 pounds. He's a very, very small-framed guy. So can he fill out his frame at the next level? I think he will. He'll get with the strength and conditioning coach, and he'll get stronger. He needs to work on that. He needs to be a more consistent receiver. Focus, catch the football. Too many inconsistencies, too many drops, too many lapses in concentration. If you can get that out of Justin Hunter's game, you've got yourself a blue chipper right here at the wide receiver position with your second round selection at 34, Tennessee receiver Justin Hunter. I love the pick. I think this here is a triple. If you're the Titans, you have to be ecstatic that you were able to land this guy in the second round of the draft. And look, you know you wanted him. You knew this was good value. You came up and you got him. A great move by the Titans. Love the move. This could be a really big pick. This could be their best pick in this draft. When it's all said and done, we'll see what Justin Hunter yields the Tennessee Titans, but I love the pick. You look at the third round selection, pick 70. Bleedy Ray Wilson, corner out of UConn. Now, looking at this pick, I love the pick for the Titans because what Bleedy Ray gives you at the cornerback position is something that you currently really don't have outside of Sensabaugh. And I'm talking about Cody Sensabaugh that you drafted last season out of Clemson. You get length here. You've got a lot of smaller corners on your football team. This guy gives you length. 6'1", long arms, athletic corner. Does he have blazing top-end speed? No. But what he's going to give you is physicality, length, and a guy that can play out wide, or he can give you some play in the slot. And so he's a very versatile corner, not afraid to come up and tackle. I like his game a lot. I think he's really going to help the Tennessee Titans. I think he's going to help you right away. This is a guy that I think you can plug in, and maybe not out wide, maybe not necessarily out wide right now, but you can get some production out of Bleedy Ray Wilson out of the slot. And I think if you coach this guy up correctly, you can get some coverage outside, out wide with Bleedy Ray Wilson. I like the pick. I like the move. I like the depth that he gives you, the versatility that he's going to give you at the cornerback position. Love this pick. Again, I think this is another triple here by the Tennessee Titans. Early on in this draft, the first three rounds, I think the Titans have really knocked it out of the park with their first three selections. This is a really good mixture of players here. And so we go back to the needs board, and corner was a need. Starting out, coming out, look, the Titans have corners, but it wasn't one of their strong suits. Corner was definitely a need. You get Bleedy Ray Wilson in the third round. We can go ahead and knock that off of the needs board. That's a great pick, great value in the third round. I think that's a triple for the Tennessee Titans. So now we move on to the fourth selection for the Titans overall. However, we're still in the third round. Titans getting a compensatory pick, so they have an extra third round selection here. You look at pick 97. Xavier Gooden, linebacker out of Missouri. They absolutely got the most athletically gifted linebacker in this draft. This guy has blazing speed, all the measurables you look for. He's a workout wonder. He's a marvel at the linebacker position. A linebacker trapped in a safety/cornerback's body. I mean, the guy is unreal with the things that he can do athletically. We're talking about a linebacker that at 6'2", 6'3", can run a 4.37 40. We're talking about cornerback speed is what we're talking about. Okay? On the field, this guy flat out can run. So the question isn't speed or athleticism here. The question with the linebacker out of Missouri, Xavier Gooden, is can he use that speed and have it translate to the linebacker position at the next level? In college, being athletically gifted makes you better than 80% of your counterparts. Him just being fast and athletic can get him by in college, but at the next level, everyone's fast. Not everyone is this fast now, especially not at the linebacker position. But can he use his eyeballs, trust his eyes, use instincts, and allow that speed to work to his advantage? Because let's face it, if you diagnose a play right away with that kind of speed, what offensive lineman is going to be able to stop you from getting to the football? No one. And so if he can just get the mental aspect down pat, all the athletic gifts are there. Now, he's very light. Of course, if you're running a 4.37 or 4.41 40, you're a light guy. You're not going to be 257 pounds and running that kind of speed. If you are an athletic freak. So we're talking about a 235 to 238 pound linebacker. So he's light in the pants. So again, maybe he's going to have to get in the weight room. He's going to have to put on a few pounds because in this league, you got to be stout at the point of attack. And I'm not asking this guy to set the edge or anything in the run game, but what I am going to ask him to do is take on blockers. He can't run around blockers in this league. When you do that, you open up gaping lanes for ball carriers. You can't avoid blockers. You got to take on them. And he's going to have to be able to take on blockers in the run game. But where he's going to make his hay in the league is at weak side linebacker covering the other team's tight end. If he can make a living running with these athletic tight ends in this league, Xavier Gooden will be in this league for a long time with that kind of athleticism. And you look, if they can get production out of him, I'm a big fan of your middle linebacker, Colin McCarthy, Zach Brown, Akeem Ayers. There is athleticism at the linebacker position for the Tennessee Titans. I love this pick of Xavier Gooden. If you can get this guy to produce, if you can get him to understand the nuances of the National Football League, you got yourself a really good football player here at the third round at 97. I think this is a solid double here in the third round with your second, third round pick, Xavier Gooden, linebacker out of Missouri. We go on to the fourth round. Your fifth selection in this draft at 107, center Brian Swinkie out of California. Look, we know Velasco is on the last year of his deal. He signed a tender. He's going to be back for one more year. But will he be back after the 2013 season? That's a big question mark. Now, if you're the Titans, this is his replacement right here. If you can't come to some type of agreement with Velasco, and maybe he doesn't play as well in 2013, or you feel like he's going to command too much money, too much attention on the free agent market, here's his replacement right here. And that's why this pick was a solid move by the Titans. Good value here in the fourth round, getting the next best center off the board after Travis Frederick, center out of Wisconsin. And so you look at this guy right here in Schwenke, and I think you're getting a really good player here. And if you can get him to learn how to play the center position, he's going to get to watch this season. Hopefully you don't have to play this guy. If all works out in 2013, this guy will not see the field. He will redshirt this year, learn the nuances of the center position, get to watch, and then next year be ready to slide in there if at all possible. Again, if everything works out with Velasco, maybe this guy never sees the field. Well, I don't know what the dynamic or situation with Velasco is at the center position, but I tell you what, if he's not back next year, here's his replacement right here in Brian Schwenke. I think it's a solid pick. Again, I think this is a double for the Titans, getting a replacement center right here, a guy that's waiting in the wings that could come in and play football for you if, in fact, Velasco is not back for you next season. So I want to go back to the offensive line draft needs section and give it another mark, because I think you really did a great job of getting another offensive lineman, and that's a position of need. And so, look, You're drafting for the future here. This was a pick that you were able to look at and say, hey, we can get a guy here in the 4th round that can help us down the road. And that's what the draft is about. Sometimes you got to draft and stash. And this is a draft and stash type of player. You're hoping. You're hoping Schwenke does not have to see the field. And I don't think he will. So I think you're solid there. Worst case scenario, if something were to happen to Velasco, you still got Eugene Amano sitting there. Will he be on the roster when it's all said and done? Don't know if Eugene Amano will be there or not. I don't know what the drafting of Schwenke means for Eugene Amano, but whatever the case may be, you're hoping this is a draft and stash prospect here with this double at the 4th round, 107th pick, Brian Schwenke, center out of California. You look at your 5th round selection, 142, defensive end out of LSU, LeVar Edwards. This is a value pick. And for me, the Titans, this is a great fit. It just makes sense for me because he fits into what the Tennessee Titans are on the defensive line. He's nothing special, just a solid football player. A guy that wasn't a star at LSU. In fact, he did not start. He was behind Montgomery and Mingo. And so when he got in the game, he tried to produce, and he did a great job in relief of those guys. LeVar Edwards is a solid defensive end. Again, big guy, 6'4", 275, 280 pounds. He's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but he's a big guy. He has to get stronger, however. For that size, he should be able to be stout against the run. Sometimes he's not, but at that size, at defensive end, he can get to the quarterback. He's very athletic for his size. Got 4.5 sacks in his senior year at LSU. And again, keep in mind, he did not start. So that's solid production from a guy who did not start. You're getting a guy that's going to fit in with your defensive line. Your defensive line, especially at the ends, not overwhelming. In fact, it's a solid group. The sum of its parts are greater than any individual with your defensive line. And so you may end up with 39 sacks. None of your players on your team will have over 7 sacks, 6.5 sacks. So here's another guy that's going to come in and get you 4.5, 5, 6.5 sacks in a rotational depth capacity. And so solid pick by the Tennessee Titans in the 5th round. Here's, to me, another double, another solid selection, another guy that's going to come in and help you get pressure on the quarterback. You could have used a defensive tackle. Keep in mind, Derek Marks, gone. He's now a Jacksonville Jaguar, and so you could have used some help. But if there's one position on the Tennessee Titans football team that I think they feel really comfortable about, it's defensive tackle, because you have a plethora of them. You draft Mike Martin last year. You're getting production out of your defensive tackle position. Defensive end is one you would love to upgrade. Here's a guy that's going to help you add to the mix. I don't think he's going to actually upgrade the whole defensive end position. You look at your 6th round selection, 202, Khalid Wooden. This is a compensatory pick, cornerback out of Nevada. To me, this is a special teams type of pick. And you know, once you get to the 6th and 7th round, we start talking about guys who probably won't make the roster. If they do, it's a long shot, and they're going to have to do a lot of work, and they're going to have to play a lot of special teams to get on the roster. With Wooten, what you get is a solid corner. He's nothing really eye-popping. He's nothing earth-shattering. He doesn't do anything great. Everything is solid that he does. He gives you a little bit of extra value in the returns game, but again, we're not talking top-end speed here. We're talking about a 4.5 40 type of guy that can give you some production in the returns game if you need it. Solid corner, not afraid to tackle, feisty. We're talking about a 5'11", 5'10" type of corner here, so size isn't a big issue. It isn't a huge advantage, but it's not a deficiency either. He's a solid size corner, what you're looking for, an average size corner. Not afraid to mix it up. Again, will he make this roster? I highly doubt it. I don't think this is a guy that's going to make your roster necessarily. However, we'll see. You just never know with these late round picks. They come in, they got a chip on their shoulder. He's on every special teams, and he finds a way onto this roster. So you never know with these late round picks. These guys come in, and again, you just never know what to expect out of a 6th and 7th round selection. Again, at the back half of the draft, you're just looking to fill up your roster. And you never know which one of these guys are actually going to pan out. Sometimes you get a hidden gem at the back of the draft. A lot of times, these guys don't even make your roster or they're on the practice squad. And so, Khalid Wooden is a guy for me that can come in, give you value, but again, I don't see him making the roster. And so I think that it's going to be a long shot for Khalid Wooden to make this Titans roster. Again, this team has numerous cornerbacks. They've been drafting cornerbacks, it seems like, for the last 3 or 4 seasons. They draft another one early on in the draft in the 3rd round with Bleedy Ray Wilson. And so Khalid Wooden making this roster looks extremely slim. But you never want to discount a guy who is drafted by a football team. If the team drafted this player, look, there were other players that could have been drafted at 202 by the Titans. They selected Wooten for a reason. Let's see if he can find a way to crack this roster. You look at the 7th round selection by the Titans at 248, Damian Stafford. He's another compensatory pick that the Titans picked up. He's a safety out of Nebraska. Again, much like Wooten, hard for me to see this guy making the roster. And he's a safety, and I think he's a solid guy. When in the box, he's dangerous. That's when he's at his best. Here's a safety that's about 6 feet, 6'1", big, solidly built. Again, he was one of the most impressive safeties at the combine in terms of the bench. So he's a big, strong guy. When in the box, he does his most damage. When you take him out of his element, put him in space, ask him to turn his hips and run, cover guys, he struggles. He's like a fish out of water when you do that with him. And so this is a guy that, again, special teams. And that's exactly what Stafford would be doing, trying to get on this roster via special teams. And so he's a solid single in my estimation. Another solid pick by the Titans at the end of this draft, looking for value toward the end of the draft. Safety out of Nebraska, Damian Stafford, rounds out the Tennessee Titans draft. So you look at the 8 players that you drafted, and it's a solid mix of good players, great players, and guys that are complementary pieces on this football team. You look at Stafford, he does address a need. However, I don't see him being a guy that's going to come in and start for you. I don't see him being a guy that may even make this roster. So we'll mark it off, but I think you addressed the safety position in free agency, going out and getting guys like Bernard Pollard and George Wilson. So I think Stafford is going to have a long road ahead of him if he wants to make this football team. But I was a little disappointed. I would have loved to have seen either in the 5th round or the 6th round the Titans get a tight end. A guy like Michael Rivera, the Tennessee volunteer receiver, would have been available at the 5th round selection at 142. Maybe a little early for him. But look, you got to get your guy, baby. He was not your guy, but I would have loved to have seen him here versus a guy like LeVar Edwards here at the 5th round at 142. I just would have loved to have seen the Titans address the tight end position somewhere down here at the bottom of the draft. That's the one position you did not address. You lose Jared Cook in free agency. I would have loved to have seen you get another tight end, someone complimentary. I know you still have Stevens on your roster. You went out and got Delaney Walker, but I would have loved to have seen you draft another tight end. That's my only complaint. That's my only gripe here. There is no tight end at the back half of this draft to give you more value, someone that I think would have realistically had a shot at making this roster. Either way, I think it's a really good draft for the Tennessee Titans. And if you average it all up, it's a solid double for the Titans in this draft. I think you got really great production in the first 4 rounds, getting Warmack a home run, Hunter a triple, Bleedy Ray Wilson a triple, and good in a double. I think you got really solid production and really solid picks at the top half of the draft. Back half, to me, left a little bit to be desired. I was looking for a tight end somewhere in rounds 4 through 7. I did not get one. I was a little disappointed there. But other than that, I think the Tennessee Titans really did some good things in this draft, handled some areas of need, and I think they came out of this thing with a double, and that's going to do it for the Tennessee Titans here in the 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up.
Draft Zone.